Hello, and welcome to the Art of Intuition podcast. My name is Susan Jane, and I believe that trusting your intuition is the best way to live your life with meaning and purpose. Each week you will hear about how you can connect, develop, and trust your intuition through interviews with other guests and my own personal experiences. Join me to understand how your intuition can guide you towards a life full of meaning and loving purpose. Hello and welcome to the Voice of Intuition podcast. And we've got the TV series as well, or web TV series. So you can see it on YouTube as well. I'm Susan Jane. I'm your host for the podcast. And today we have got the lovely Amy Sanders. Now, I have had an interview with Amy, so you're going to love this. This is really cool. She has her own podcast, and we're going to talk about that later. But today we're talking about those self-sabotaging cycles that we go through. Now, for this particular interview, now Amy can talk about so many things because she's a life coach. She's got it all together. Well, it's taken a little while, but like all of us, we get it all together eventually. But we're going to really dig down so you get a clear understanding of what these cycles are and how you can break through them. So it actually gives you your power back. So we're going to be talking all about that. But before we go there, before we introduce Amy in, please subscribe, like, and share the podcast so we can get it out there to the billions of people who need to hear it. Well, at least, a couple of 100,000 would be nice. So let's get it all out there and let's share it along with everyone. So with no further ado, I want to welcome, I'm not going to explain a lot about Amy because I like her to talk about herself. So I'm going to bring on Amy. Come in, Amy. How are you?
Hi, I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm doing really well. Now we've tried to do this interview for so many weeks, and everything was happening, wasn't it? So it was really. There was one time when Amy had to go somewhere, and then there was another time I was sick, and then we've had all these things going on. So it's really, really lovely to do this. And I don't think the listeners realise the work behind getting to here.
I was like, anyway. Are we actually doing this today? We're doing it. Yay.
I know. I kept on waiting to see an email come through thinking, are we going?
No,
So that's really cool. So it's so good to have you on eventually.
Thank you. And thank you for letting me be on your podcast. It's an honor to be here. So thank you.
No problem. Now we're going to go through all yours and everything else. But first of all, I just want to get an understanding of how did you get to where you are? So you're a life coach. You do work a lot with women and work with mindset and things. How did you get there? I mean, for me, when I see life coaches, I know you can do the theory side of life coaching and you become qualified as a life coach, but it's really, for me, it's that experience behind what you've gone through that makes a life coach a real life coach. So tell me a bit about your experience.
Yes, I have been through a lot. So I like that you're like, the experience is what makes someone a life coach. And I totally agree. I also have to giggle that you're like, people go through the certification. That's become a thing in the last number of years. There's a lot of hype around life coaching. Like, okay, can this person actually help me? Because it seems like a lot of people throw that term around, just like, oh, there's life coaches here and there and everywhere. And yeah, so I've had quite the journey. And I will say that even from a really young age, I loved reading self-help books. It's actually one of the only types of books that I enjoy reading. So I was different in that sense where I loved feeling like I was improving myself. So that has always been a constant for me. But I went through, everyone has their story and everyone has different experiences and pasts that make them who they are. But so I'm going to tell you a little bit about mine. I came from awesome parents, wonderful parents, but they both have had crazy backgrounds. So they've done the best with raising us that they could, but there was a lot of taught limiting beliefs, which is a term that also gets thrown around a lot, but basically you start believing something that's not true and it's holding you back. And because of my parents and how they grew up and their mindset, I was in a home. There was actually 7 kids. As I was growing up, I was like middle child, so middle child syndrome. And my parents taught me to say yes at all costs. When someone asks you something, you say yes no matter what. Another thing that they taught me was that money is really hard to get. Like you can't have money. People with a lot of money are selfish and they're bad. And I say this like, please understand that I love my parents. My parents are amazing. And with the backgrounds they came from, they like made leaps and bounds raising us, especially 7 kids. But they had a lot of stuff from their past that held them back that then they passed on to me. And when it came down to it, I turned away from myself completely. And I got so good at it that even at the age of 22, very young age, by the way, I was getting proposed to from a man I did not want to marry. And I said yes. So I said yes at 22. And I said yes, even though there was a complete pit in my stomach as he asked me. I was like, yes, I'll make the biggest decision of my life. And I don't want to. So I said yes. I got so good at pleasing that even the biggest decision that you should make from a selfish place, like, is this actually good for me? I was like, no, who cares about what I want? I don't want to make him feel bad. So not making him feel bad meant I married him, and it wasn't good for me. So we ended up having 3 kids together. It was a very rocky, hard marriage. And 11 years in, with 3 tiny kids, I finally had enough. And so I had to figure out my own way. Now, at that point, I was a broke single mom. I thought I was broke when I was married, but I didn't understand that I could become more broke, which is what happened. And so I did. I became more broke, and I would have to make deals with my landlord. They were amazing. And so they would do this, but I would say, hey, if I paint this banister, can you deduct my rent? Hey, if I weed this yard and not have you pay yard care, if I do that, can I deduct that from rent? Hey, like I would do whatever I could, but I still had this total belief that it's hard to make money. I'm not worthy of it. I still have to please. So I got to the point enough to leave him, but then what? And so from that place, it was time to pick myself up, figure things out. It was a road, which we're going to talk about. And now I am remarried. I have a completely different lifestyle. What's funny is I now have 7 kids again. So I grew up in a family of 7 kids. And now here we are, because I had 3 and he had 4. But it's been an amazing journey. And through this journey, I have just had this deep passion and like yearning to help as many women as I can find that peace and that happiness. Now, with happiness said, life is 50-50, just understanding how to get through those bumps and understanding that it's okay to have bumps in the road and that it makes you who you are, but empowering women to say yes to themselves instead of everybody else and learn how to recognize their own voice, so that's what I do a lot of work around. And it's been amazing. And yeah, in a nutshell, that's my story.
That's a big nutshell.
Yes.
You know what's really funny, Amy? The synchronicities between us, because I came from a family with 8 kids and I was in the middle. And I used to do a lot of reading, and the only books I ever read was self-help books. And again, I had a marriage, my first marriage, or my only marriage actually. It was basically I married my father, which doesn't sound right. I know that sounds weird, but it was a father figure because I was always trying to please my father and my parents. And and again, I have, like you, wonderful parents, absolutely wonderful parents, but their mindset and their beliefs were what they put onto their children. And of course, I'm doing the same, putting my mindset and my beliefs onto my children. So they've got to grow and develop from there. So yeah, I really get that story. It's like so similar to me.
Maybe that's why we like each other so much, right?
Absolutely. That's why we sync really well. But what I'm going to do is I want to go down to the nitty-gritties, okay? Because you can do this. You've got this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask you a few questions, and we want to go a little bit deeper to try and help the listeners get an understanding of what it is, because what you've just said and what I've just said, it's all hindsight. When we're actually living it, when we're actually involved in it and we've got our heads going crazy and we don't feel worthy, and there was a lot of financial abuse for me. There was a lot of emotional abuse for me. When you're having all that coming through, and it sounds like you had the same, that when that's all coming through, it's really, really hard. But in hindsight, we can look back and go, oh, this happened, that happened, and this happened. So I'm going to take you back for the sake of the listeners. And the first thing I'm going to ask you is, when, like in your marriage, we'll talk about your marriage because that's sort of your regular area there. When did you know enough was enough?
Such a good question. And I don't even know if I want to answer it. I'm going to answer it. So I knew enough was enough really early on, but I didn't want to make him feel bad. I didn't want to make my parents feel bad. I was still so worried about everybody else and what they would think of me and the pain I would put them through, that I did not leave. And that's why I don't want to answer it, because if I was being true to myself, truly true to myself, I would not have said yes. But 5 years into the marriage, I thought I was legitimately going to die. I was like, this is not for me. I am done. I'm done. I still stayed for 7 more years. So
it took me 8 years.
So it took me a long time. Now through those 7 years, now we have kids. Our first kid we had when she was 2.5 years old, or no, we've been married for 2.5 years. We had her. And I thought that maybe by having this child that things would get better for us. Nope. It added more stress and it got worse. And then with each child, it got even worse. So my kids came really fast. I had 3 kids in 4 years, pretty much to the week. And so, that was tough, but I thought that, as we keep building this family, maybe something would change. The problem is I was enabling. I can't look at him and say, oh, he did all these things wrong. Sure, I have my own thoughts about that, but I enabled a lot of the behavior and I accepted it without speaking my voice, without saying what I truly felt. So how is he to know how I'm truly feeling, right? And when I would try to tell him, it did not work. It was I would try and tell him and he would just, whatever, you're fine. You're a strong woman. You'll get over it. He would tell me that all the time. But in the meantime, I was dying. I was dying inside thinking, oh no, this is not right. This is not okay. And there was a lot that went on. I don't know how nitty gritty you want to get, but yes, there was money stuff. There was, relationship stuff. There was infidelity. There was a lot there. And it took me a long, long time before I finally left.
Yeah, I'm with you too, because it took me 8 years. And funnily enough, I had 3 kids in 3 years. So it took me a little while to work out what was causing it before I stopped. But I got there eventually. But the thing is, Amy, that's I guess what the answer to the question is. When is enough enough? You don't know. It's never, ever one big thing, unless, of course, it's physical violence or something to that effect. That was my sort of, what do they call it? Deal breaker. If there was physical violence, it would have been my deal breaker. It happened once early in my marriage, never happened again, but there was always that fear there. But it's funny enough, when is enough enough? It just doesn't come as one big aha moment, does it?
No, it doesn't.
It's those little bits and pieces. It's that financial aspect, and you start to get, oh, I've had enough of that. That emotional aspect, oh, I've had enough of that. And it's all these different areas that keep showing themselves, and it's almost like, okay, I put that in front of you, but you didn't respond. Here's another one. And they keep on throwing, universe keeps throwing these different things at us to make us understand, because yeah, enough is enough is really, really a hard question to ask. And I understand why you couldn't answer it.
Especially, I mean, it's really hard when you have kids involved. And I will say this, a lot of people think and believe that they need to stay because there's children. And now that I've gone through it, I completely disagree. I was like, of course, the children, you want to keep the children together if you can, but not at the expense of yourself and who you are and your worth. If that's not happening for you and you're struggling, then you need to look in the mirror. Because for me, once I did leave, I became an amazing example to my children of power, strength, loving myself. Like all of these good things came out of it versus being a doormat and letting, him do whatever. And me just, well, okay, I don't know, like I was so submissive, which that's actually not truly who I am, but that's who I had become from like, now I know that's not who I am, but at the time, that's how I was showing up. So my kids now, they have an amazing relationship with me, but they also have a better relationship than they've ever had with their dad because I chose me and I left. So don't let that be. Yeah, don't let that be something that's, well, I'm going to put up with this because the kids, because they see it. They see you mistreated. They see that as an example. And do you want that for your children?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. That's what you're teaching your child. Yeah. Or your children. I was one that did that. I was one that stayed when I shouldn't have stayed. And it's funny because my daughter said to me, Mum, you should have left a long time ago. It would have been so much better. And I didn't see it that way. But there again, in our situation too, in my situation, women didn't get any financial support. So for
there's
me
that
to
piece
leave,
too that's really hard, right?
yeah.
But
Whereas now you do. So yeah, there's not that we're saying you have to leave your partner.
No, that's not what we're saying.
No, please don't do that.
We're saying pick up your bootstraps and choose you. And if that means staying with your partner, but voicing your opinions and standing in your power, do it. But if you're not doing it, or if you're not allowed to do it because there's abuse, then rethink where you're at.
Yes, absolutely. And the other thing too, Amy, that you did that was similar to mine, or the same as mine, is that you read books. And that's how you knew that things aren't how they should be. You read self-help books, and it's same as listening to the podcasts and that sort of aspect. When you're listening to the podcast, you're getting other people's ideas, opinions, experiences, and that actually helps you to grow and develop and know that, okay, things don't seem quite right, what's going on. So I love that we can bring this forward to them. But the next question I want to ask, okay, so we know that you got to the stage where enough was enough, because it was just crap upon crap upon crap upon crap. When you're drowning in that, that's enough. So how did you pick yourself up?
Good question. So yes, books were a big part of it. And also I started looking at like other people's relationships. And I was like, hey, that looks very different. And I also would see women that I looked up to, and I was like, she just says what she feels like she should, and he listens, like the respect was there. And so I started getting hyper aware of how I was showing up, like how I was showing up for my kids, how I was showing up even with him, because we did have 3 kids together. So guess what? We still have to continue to talk to and work together. And then also, as I started dating again, which that was like a little bit scary for me, dating again. I was like, oh, what am I doing? But I just started really getting curious, like, Amy, how are you showing up to this? Why are you saying yes when you still want to say no? So I got aware. And from that awareness, I started realizing how I spoke to myself, which is, in between your ears. What are you thinking? What are you allowing to have happen as you're still being quiet and small? And I was like, wow, I have a lot of work to do. However, I will also say at this time in my life, I was a fitness instructor. I still am. So I love teaching fitness classes. I've done it for over 20 years. And I would go into my fitness class, which I know that some people are not going to like have this experience. I was very blessed to have it, but I would go in to teach fitness classes every single day, sometimes more than one in a day. Well, let's be honest, when I was a single mom, I was teaching like 5 a week or 5 a day, like a ton a week, like so many classes. But my point is I would go in there and people would love to see me. They would be so grateful for what I was doing for them. And they thought I was so good at motivating them in that fitness class. And they talked so highly of me. So what I was being told by him, and then also what I was telling myself, was very different from how other people were perceiving me. And I was like, wait, who's really what's really true? So from asking me, like, what is actually true? I'm being hard on me. Everyone makes mistakes. It's okay. How am I thinking? What am I saying to myself? And also all these other people have a completely different story than mine and his. What do I want to do? So at that point, I did end up hiring. I hired my own life coach, and I was like, wow, like this is exactly what I want to do. So from there, I continually just motivated people. I was still teaching fitness classes, whatever, but changing my thought processes was everything. And I know that as I say that, people are like, oh, well, it can't be that easy. But it actually, right? People are like, it can't be that easy, but it actually is. It's getting hyper aware of how you're thinking, because your thoughts are actually, a lot of times they're lies. We just are telling ourselves these things. Your brain, there's some kind of circumstance happening that you can't really change. And your thoughts about that circumstance are what are going to bring up your feelings. And you do everything from a feeling. Like if you're excited about something, you're going to like show up all in and you're going to do whatever it is that you want to do because you're excited about it. If you're not excited about it, you're not going to do it. If you're sad, you always act from a feeling. So if you understand that, then you can decide how you want to show up. So that's how I took my power back. I got hyper aware of how I was talking to myself. I started talking to myself differently, started deciding like, how do I want to show up? Do I want to be excited about this or not? And I still practice that today. Even yesterday, I was like so mad at my daughter. I was so mad at her. I woke up. Truth is, I don't get mad at her very often. So for me to get mad at her, I was like, and I like wanted to just like wring her neck. That's how I woke up. She went to school and I was fuming mad, which I really am not fuming mad very often, but I was. And I know that people are listening to this and they're like, yeah, sometimes you're just fuming mad. I was. And even yesterday, I was like, Amy, how do you want to show up for your day? Because you get to decide. You get to decide. You get to decide how you show up for your friends, your family, yourself. And so I completely changed. And by noon, I was like as high as Kai. I was happy, things were working for me. But my whole point is that's what I did. And that's what I still do. And that's what you can do. And also recognizing like if there's that pit in your stomach, or if there's something that's telling you something's not right. I mean, you're the pro of intuition, right? You're going to feel that, but you have to acknowledge it and welcome it.
Yes.
You have to say, okay, yeah, all right, I'm listening. My body's telling me something. I'm going to listen.
Yep. And that's the awareness part of it, isn't it? Because they're the little triggers that you get. And I love how you're sort of saying your mindset and how we do things. We just go into automatic pilot. We don't even realize. And look, you think about something as simple or as basic as you're going to cook dinner. How many of us will actually go and cook the same meal over and over again because we go into automatic pilot? We can't think any different. At the moment, I've got things happening. I've got this to do. I've got that to do. And you go into this automatic pilot where we go, okay, I know I've got chicken in the fridge or in the freezer. We'll just do stir fry, or something to that effect. And we go into that automatic pilot. And that's what happens with everything that we do unless we become aware of it. So when you get those triggers, like you said, your daughter gave you a trigger and it got you aggro, and or I don't know if that's a real word over there, but it is in Australia. Got you aggro, and you would it normally some people will lash out. They go into automatic pilot, whereas you're going, no, be aware. That's how you're feeling. What are you going to do differently? And I had exactly the same thing happen to me a couple of weeks ago. I was doing my grandma babysitting duties, and I thought I was only looking after the two little ones, but I was looking after the the three big ones as well. So that was sort of thrown on me, and I wasn't quite prepared for that. Now, I don't see the three older boys very often, and they're in their teenagers. So they're fun. And I say that with tongue in cheek. Anyway, one of them really, really pushed my buttons, and I just didn't handle it. I went back into that automatic pilot. I went back into that angry rage, that annoying, just like you were saying. And I did respond, and I responded in a way that I was upset with myself about it. So I needed to change it. And I grabbed the two little ones and threw them in their little cart, and we walked down to the beach. And I know this is a bit crazy. I actually put it live on Facebook. I just sort of went, you know what? I've just done this and I'm not happy with myself. Somebody give me some support here. I just, is that what you do? And I feel really guilty because I'm meant to be the adult and they're still the child. And the funny thing is, the responses I got back through Facebook, and I guess I just needed to verbalize it, but the responses I got back from Facebook really made me, they didn't say you were bad. They just sort of goes, you know what? They accepted it. And they said, crap like that happens, stuff like that happens. Accept it. And it made me feel so much more, I don't know, human. Yes, we make mistakes, but yeah, you know what? We can get through that. We can accept that. So I felt it. I actioned it, which was not the best way to go. But I also then accepted the situation and went and let it go from there. So next time, hopefully I can catch it before I do the action bit. That's my plan.
With that said, it's okay to understand and recognize that we're human. Yes. And that we can't always just be this, right? Like we're not just going to just cool as a cucumber.
Yep. And I think that's why sorry, say it again.
I was saying we have emotions, we have we have those like autopilot actions that we take, and it's okay to just give yourself grace and be like, okay, next time I can do better, and it's okay. And sometimes you just maybe need to yell at the teenager and they might need to hear it, and life is not going to end. But life is always going to be 50-50, meaning that you're going to have positive emotions and positive experiences, and you're going to have negative experiences and negative emotions, and it's okay. It's okay.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it was my way of coping and my way of dealing with it. It was really good. I think what it did was, and I'm not suggesting that we do this to everybody on Facebook and bombard people, but it made me honestly feel real, because we get onto these social media sites and everybody looks like they've got their shit together. Right. And honestly, they're only putting up what they want you to see. And so for me to put up a post like that, especially when I do have quite a lot of followers, it was nice for them to sort of go, hey, she hasn't got her shit together either. It's nice.
We all make mistakes.
I know. So it was really good. So it was very cathartic for me. I really enjoyed that. And again, it's just looking for ways that people can learn to cope and see and create that awareness to see what the triggers are, to see what's going on. But before I go to the next question, Amy, I need to say that on the little ticker tape going past, if you're listening on the podcast, you won't see that, but it's Amy's website. And I want you to have a look at Amy's website. So it is www.luckysanders.com. What a good website. Lucky Sanders. So LuckySanders.com. com. So yeah, go and check that out because Amy's got a lot of things happening. We're going to talk about that in a minute. But the one thing I wanted to ask again, I just wanted to really clarify about what do you mean by taking your own power back? What were those little steps that you took to actually get your power back?
The little steps I took was actually saying yes to me. So if you remember, I said yes to everything. I was trained to. My parents, if they asked me to do something, and even if I did not want to do it at all, there was no possible way for me to ever say no. Because if I did, I got in big trouble. So I learned really fast that you only say yes. And this means that I said yes to every single person, no matter what, whether it's what restaurant they want to go eat at, if I should marry them, because there's that one, it's very big. People that I did not want to date, I would say yes to. I would say yes to everything. And then I would say no to me. So I got yes to everybody else, but no to me. Amy, you'll be okay. Amy, you don't need to do that. Amy, don't speak up. Amy, they don't want to hear from you. Like I would tell myself, you're not good at this. Like I was just a mess in my head because I wanted to just people please. And people pleasing, well, I didn't want to, but that's just really how I was trained. And I just took that on. And my mom would even say that, Amy, you're so good at pleasing people. So then I'd be like, oh, my mom thinks I'm good at this. I should keep doing it. Right.
Yes.
So that's what I did. So in order to take my power back, it was small steps, little things, starting with when I was married, I started telling him no, and he was not used to this. So truth is, I did his education for him, meaning that he did online classes. I got him his degree. I worked behind the scenes, even though I was like a mom. Like I did all of the things. Even though I did not want to, I would just do them, like everything.
Yeah.
So yeah. I started telling him no. I would go to his family events, even when he wouldn't go, because he's like, you need to go. So I would go. So nope, I'm not going. And he was like, what? Now, as you start to take your power back, and I'm not saying say no to everyone all the time. I'm saying say yes to yourself. And sometimes by saying yes to yourself means you say no to other things. That's what I'm saying. So I would say, do I want to do this? I would ask myself this. If I don't, say no. It was very, very hard at first, and I still struggle with it. I've been a life coach now for years. I've been practicing this for years, and I still struggle with it because I had 35 plus years of history of saying yes, right? So it takes practice, but I would say yes to me saying like, okay, he wants this for dinner, but I want this for dinner. I'm going to make this for dinner because I'm the one cooking. So guess what? You're going to have to eat what I cook. So that's a little tiny thing, but that gave me just a little more power. Absolutely. I started asking myself, what do you want? And I would think about that. I want to go on a walk right now. At the time I had little kids, right? So it's like, I wouldn't even go on a walk. I wouldn't do anything that I wanted. And even in that moment, I would tell myself why I can't have it or why it's not okay. And I know people are listening to this and they're like, oh, I've done that. You know, I want to go to the mall. Oh no, I shouldn't go to the mall because that's not responsible because I'm a mom and my kids might miss me. You know, so you tell yourself no.
You justify it, don't you?
Yes.
Yeah, you justify it and make it real for yourself instead of going, no, I still don't want to do it.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
sorry.
Myself, I can be right. Like it's a thing. Telling myself that I can be whatever I want. What do I want to do? So I never finished my degree when I was married because we had kids pretty quick. I put him through college in the beginning. So I put him through college and then I also did his college for him. Total people pleaser here, but also enabler, right? I didn't make him do it. I was like, oh, well, I'll just do it. And I did. So I was working around the clock really hard, yet turning away from myself at all costs and still scrambling to make ends meet. And as I started to say yes, one of the things I said yes to was they do a camp out where the whole family, like extended family and everything, they go camping for a few days. And I said no. And he's like, what? I'm like, I don't want to go. He was shocked. But by doing that little tiny, like just little things, it led to me realizing that I was worth more than what I was being given in that marriage. And that's what got me out. And then once I was out, to continually work on that. And it was a process. So if you're like a recovering people pleaser, like me, you're going to have to just continually practice it and then know that it's okay. But turn to yourself, ask yourself, what do I want? Does this serve me? Do I want to do this? There's going to be yeses, there's going to be no's, and it's okay.
And I think that's why it took us so long to leave the marriage. Like for you, it was 7 years. For me, it was 8 years. And I don't mean that in a negative context, but it's like we have to grow and get that understanding before we're strong enough already to make that final step. Because in all honesty, I didn't want to leave the marriage. I knew the marriage wasn't working, but I wanted to fix the marriage. Again, a bit of a people pleaser too. I wanted at all cost to keep that marriage going, to keep it, because that's what society expected. So, when I first realized that this marriage isn't working and there's got to be something done about it, and it takes two to do that, it was then 8 years before I went, well, okay, guess what? There's only one person working on this, and so it's not worth keeping together. And that's when I actually left. But everything had to fall in place. And it's like you're saying, you do those little steps, everything had to sort of fall in place. I remember I was a theory tester, so I would test theories from the books that I read. And one of them was Dance with Anger. And I'm sorry, I can't remember the author's name, but it was called Dance with Anger. And I tested that. And exactly like you're saying, it was like, you're just testing it. It's like, no, I'm not going to do that. And with this Dance with Anger, you had to bring everything back to what the initial anger point, well, what the initial argument was about. Because with the dance of anger, what they do is they start something that they know is going to trigger something, and then they dance you around until they get to where you need to be. So I stopped that. I went, no, I'm not going to, you can lead wherever you want to go, but I'm not following you. I'm not going to dance with you. So it just kept on coming back. And it was about dust on the microwave. There was dust on the microwave. And he just kept on going on and on and on about the dust on the microwave. And I wiped the dust off the microwave, and then he still kept on going. And I'm going, well, what are you arguing about? There's no dust on the microwave. And he goes, oh, yeah, but you can't look after the children. But that's not what the argument's about. It's about dust on the microwave. And every time he tried to dance me somewhere else and get me to, play with those triggers, because one of my triggers was, oh, you're a bad mother. You don't know how to look after children. So that was one of my triggers. So when he was trying to get me into that position where he could say, yeah, but that's because you're a bad mother, I wouldn't let him. I would bring it back and go, well, that's got nothing to do with it, because there's dust on the microwave. The dust is gone now, so you shouldn't be angry anymore. And that was, like you were saying, it's just that one thing that you sort of go, I feel strong enough to stand up and say yes to me and no to you. And that was my little experience.
And it feels good, right? Like, it's like, oh, and I would tell people, look at different people in your life. Like, I know we've talked a lot about relationships here, but when you're looking at healthy relationships, see how they're talking to each other, because they actually they'll talk about like things they don't like. I don't like that you did this. Okay, well, I don't like you did this. And they get it out. But when you're not getting it out and you're keeping it in and you can't have that like open dialogue, that's where, you start walking on eggshells and you start holding your tongue. And that's when you stop really choosing yourself. So I would look at role models within relationships and be like, I want that. Now with my current husband, I say current, he will be my last. I'm staying with him. But with my husband that I'm married to now, we talk about everything. We have disagreements, whatever, but we
still talk about it.
We talk about it, and it's okay. I'm like, that's fine that you feel that way. I feel this way. We don't try and change it. We just are like, okay, that's your view.
You just
it's so
acknowledge
much healthier.
Yeah. All right, we're getting a bit low on time, Amy, and I have one more question to ask you.
Okay.
Before we talk about your podcast and what you've got going. Okay, so how do you, because I'm going by our little spiel at the beginning, how do you create your own luck?
How do you create your own luck? So I'm Lucky Sanders because I create my own luck. And guess what? You can too. So I love that you asked me that. So you create your own luck by choosing it. So you get to decide when you take your power back, when you're saying yes to you, when you are stopping yourself in that like thought process and being like, that's not how I want to talk to me. If you don't say it to your kid, you shouldn't say it to you. That's like a motto that I live by now. So
Yes.
you create your own luck by deciding what you want. So when I left that marriage, I started creating my own luck. I was like, I want to have a healthy relationship. I can now say I have an amazing, healthy relationship. I wanted to have a multi-million-dollar home. Some people are like, what? Like, why is that your goal? But because I just wanted that. Guess what? I have it now. I wanted to be able to put, this sounds funny, but some people get it. I couldn't afford to put my kids in sports when I was in that marriage. Now my kids do everything competitively. They're in multiple things and we can do it. So all of those little things, we travel all the time. And I'm not saying, whoa, look at me, but I am saying I went from a completely different lifestyle to what I have now because I created my luck. And you create it by deciding that you're worthy of it and then putting it out there. So in my programs, I do a lot of like manifesting and stuff. I'm a huge manifester and I know that you are too, you're into intuition, right? So
yeah.
If you put that energy out there of what you want, it can come back to you. If you believe it can happen for you, it will happen for you, but you have to believe it. And then you have to do the work. So of course, with me and my husband, we've worked really hard to have what we have, but it's been fun work because we're just like building our own life. And then it's like, the more we build, we're like, oh, what else can we do? So now we have more rental properties. It's like, it just expands and it's amazing. And anyone can have it. Anyone can have it. If I can, you can. And so whether it's material things or not, like decide what you want, get hypersensitive about how you're putting yourself out there, like the energy that you're putting out and what you want, who you're hanging out with, and know that you can have it. It doesn't matter where you're at, you can have it 100%.
Absolutely. Oh, I love that. And it's a great segue to go and have a look at Amy's website. So www.luckysanders.com. I love that. I'm going to cough in a minute. Hang on. So the segue is you have got some courses going out. You've got courses and your podcast. So quickly tell us about those.
Yes. Well, thank you. Thank you for letting me share them. So if you go to my website, you will see everything, luckysanders.com. And there's even like a wellness guide, which I focus on all areas of wellness. So mental, physical, spiritual, as well as financial health. So you can go look there and see that. But I have courses for just self-development, which is coupled with coaching with me. I have personal coaching as well. And then I do a lot of business coaching, actually. So from just like creating multiple businesses with me and my husband, it's turned into that too. So you can see everything on the website though. And then with the podcast, it's called Married 2.0. Because you know what, whether you're on your first, second, fifth, etc., or you're single, you can always upgrade your relationships. So that's very important.
Marriage 2.0. Yeah, I love that. That was the podcast I was on too. It was terrific. I loved it. Well, Amy, we're running out of time now. Is there anything else you want to put forward before we say goodbye?
The only thing that I would say, maybe I've already said it, but is that you can have whatever you want in any area of life that you want, and that you're worthy of it, but you have to believe you're worthy of it. So do the work. And if that's hiring a coach, or if that's like having a friend that you're talking to about everything, do the work so that you can create your life that you want, because you are worthy. And I would love to see you have that beautiful life that you're just dreaming of, but you don't quite have yet.
Yeah. And one of the things I want to add to that, Amy, too, is when you are looking for coaches or for guidance from anyone, get the guidance from somebody that you can see has done the work, somebody that you can see is successful in your eyes, because often we ask for guidance from maybe our friend and they're not necessarily in the right space to give you the best guidance for you. And step forward in it. Sometimes our friends can actually hold us back. So I love the idea of going into life coaching. I did my life coaching course when Tony Robbins was still called Anthony Robbins. That's how long ago.
It's a long time ago.
I know. And of course, it wasn't a qualified course then. So it wasn't a government registered course or anything then. Yeah. So yeah, it was like 100 years ago, just about. But jump on. Thank you, Amy. Jump onto Amy's website, www.luckysanders.com. and have a look, because she's got heaps on there for you to have a look at. And I want to thank you so much for being on the show. It was fantastic. We did it.
We did it. We finally met up. Thank you again for having me on the show. I really appreciate it.
No worries. Just stay on the line for a minute and we'll have a quick chat. I need to say my goodbyes and everything else. I've got to find the right buttons to press. So thanks, guys. That was lovely having Amy on. Check out a website. You'll really enjoy it. Now, the other aspect too is that I am doing intuitive messages of love now. So it's where you choose a flower image for somebody you love. So instead of giving them flowers, you choose a flower image, send it to me. I actually do a video recording of it and a PDF, so you can print it out for them, especially for things like Mother's Day or birthdays and different things like that, anniversaries. And we do this beautiful flower reading for them, so they learn a bit about themselves, but a lot about how you see that other person. So it was really interesting. That's my website. So that's intuitivenature.com.au, an Australian website. And that's it from me today. I will talk to you next week. I'm getting myself organised to hopefully head over to the UK soon with my dad, who's actually 92 years old. It'll be a crazy trip, but it should be fun. All right, guys, all the best. Have a great week, and I will see you next week. Okay, bye for now.